I don't care how heavy you lift. I don't care how fast you run or how high you jump. EMS is just science. It activates twice as many muscle fibers and acts more deeply and more comprehensively.
Today, we're going to talk with the founder and CEO of SQAI, Alec Oliver. Alec is the tech entrepreneur whose passion for biohacking and fitness enticed him away from the high-speed world of finance and Wall Street. Alec is an avid CrossFitter and wellness enthusiast and into the world of EMS, electromuscular stimulation.
Bone density, and especially women, tend to be even more susceptible to bone density loss after a certain age. Many of our customers have asked us, fine, I get it, it works on the muscle, but how does it affect the bones? And the answer is, well.
Hi, my name is Chris Burris. I'm a longevity expert and the chief scientist at a lab focused on a longevity molecule. My primary focus is to help people live longer and better lives with science. Make sure to subscribe and share so you and your friends can live longer and better. Well, actually, so you and your friends can live beyond the norms.
Hi, and welcome to the next episode of the Live Beyond the Norms Health and Longevity Podcast. I met our next guest at the Biohackers World Conference event in Los Angeles. His company is pronounced SQAI, but spelled SQAI. They had this amazing display with suits and people doing workouts. My wife actually did a 20-minute full-body workout with the suit, and it was actually turned on quite high. I have to be honest, after just a 20-minute workout, she was sore for 4 to 6 days. So I wanted to connect with them and better understand their technology. Today, we're going to talk with the founder and CEO of SQAI, Alec Oliver. Alec is the tech entrepreneur whose passion for biohacking and fitness enticed him away from the high-speed world of finance and Wall Street. Alec is an avid CrossFitter and wellness enthusiast and into the world of EMS, electromuscular stimulation, or just electromuscular stimulation, somewhere in there. Alec shared with me papers showing EMS improving muscle strength, improving weight loss, improving longevity by reducing sarcopenia, increasing bone density, improving BMI, cholesterol, growth. Just continues on. He is here to share how SQAI is redefining strength training through the lens of longevity and why targeted tech-enabled training may be the future of healthy aging. Alec, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Chris.
All right, so before we jump into your area of expertise, I like to go back. I like to go much further back. Like, what was it like growing up, little Alec? Where did you grow up? What were your parents like? If there was some event or someone you could pinpoint as the reason you would ultimately become a fitness tech entrepreneur, what or who would that be?
Wow, we're really going way back in time now.
Way back.
I actually grew up in Bulgaria in the 1980s and 90s, which was a time and a place where really if you didn't have something, and we didn't have a lot of things at the time, you made it. I grew up in a family of an experimental physicist and an economist. So in a way, science and business was something that I was interested in from an early age. Now, as far as, my favorite memory, my grandfather was actually a mechanic and a little bit of an inventor himself. And he had this, workshop floor in the back of his house. And there he literally constructed a car, and maybe a car is too strong of a word, but it had, an engine and 4 wheels. That was, used the motor from a lawnmower or a motorbike. And it was just totally not street legal, but just so much fun to drive. And also trying not to get killed, of course. But it was, I guess at the time where I learned kind of not to be too shy away from experimenting and, just tinkering with my hands and building stuff. And that's really something that's part of my mindset today.
Very cool. Yeah, trying not to die is often the most fun.
That is very helpful. Yes, for longevity, since you mentioned longevity. Yeah, that's key.
Excellent. All right. So you have a master's degree in computer science and finance. At first glance, these degrees and a career in private equity do not point to the CEO who is passionate about health and wellness. Was the SQAI suit a kind of side project for some period of time? How did you come to focus on EMS? Maybe first, what does EMS stand for, right? Did I get the terminology right? And kind of describe what it's all about?
Sure, yeah. You got it right. So EMS stands for electromuscle stimulation. And it's something, it's a technology that was actually invented in the 1960s. It started as a physiotherapy tool, and it's used as a physiotherapy tool to this day. In fact, if you go to your physical therapist or your doctor, and if you're in an accident and you injured a muscle, your doctor would put these sticky pads, with wires coming out of them and kind of go into a little device that would cause a little bit of a muscle contraction or more like a twitch to really bring the muscle back to life, to rehabilitate it, to nurse it back into, they call it a muscle re-education, nursing it back, to help it regain its function. So it's, at some point over, the 1990s, someone said, well, if you can, use EMS to heal an injured muscle, then why can't you, use it as a strength and conditioning device? Why can't you use it on healthy muscles to help them get stronger? And while you're at it, why keep bothering with these sticky pads and kind of you look like a little Frankenstein with kind of these wires coming out of you? Why don't you kind of, put them in a different form factor, which, in the form of a suit, a body conforming suit that has these electrodes on the inside. And those electrodes run, tiny electrical impulses into your muscles to make them contract. And kind of we can go into the science of how those contractions and why they work and how they're induced. But that's really the sort of the
And was this a side project? So right, like when you were in finance, my first kind of picture, and I don't know why it's so crystal clear of kind of EMS technology, is Bruce Lee. And I think it must have been in the movie Bruce Lee. Maybe it was in some sort of video about or something where he's, I think, working his abs, right? And he's just walking around with, some sort of device. It's an EMS device, I'm sure. And so do you have that same memory? And then were you kind of playing around with this, right? You're in CrossFit where you like, hey, I want to improve things faster or something. Like what's your journey with EMS?
Totally. You're spot on Bruce Lee. This was actually in the movie. And he's wearing this like ancient looking contraption on his chest. And like people are asking, what are you doing? And he's saying, well, I'm doing 10,000 push-ups right now. So don't interrupt. But the equivalent of 10,000 push-ups, just in terms of the number of contractions. But the way it happened for me is, it was literally a friend that pulled me into this EMS studio here in Miami. I was just on vacation here, and I knew nothing about the technology. So I go, and my mindset is also, I'll try anything once. So I go in there, and they put you in a base layer. So this is a cotton-based undergarment, and the suit comes as a shell on top of it. And they put you through a 20-minute class. So it's just 20 minutes with deceptively simple movements. Like the movements, you do a few squats, a few lunges, range of motion, body weight stuff, which without a suit on should be super simple for almost anyone to complete. Now with the suit on, it's a different story. With the suit on, you're, just kind of Bruce Lee style, you feel like all of your muscles are engaging and contracting as if you're holding 100-pound weight, and yet there's nothing in your hands. So, and by the end of the 20 minutes, there's a little pool of sweat on the floor. So totally doesn't make any sense. A couple of days later, I have the most, deepest and strongest muscle soreness that I've had in years. And at the time, as you mentioned, I was doing CrossFit. I was in top-notch shape. I was in really good shape. There was, the kind of muscle soreness that you get if you went to the gym and you did the most intense, high intensity workout with lots of weights and jumping and you pushed yourself to the limit for a couple of hours. So I did 2 of these 20-minute workouts over the course, it was a week, over the course of 7 or 8 days. And then I went back to New York where I lived at the time. And I went back to my CrossFit gym and I reached down for my barbell, as part of the sequence to kind of, and I picked it up and I said, well, shoot, I didn't load this barbell properly because it's too light. It was literally, it felt too light in my hands. So I look at the plates, like something has got to be missing from the weight plates, but the plates were all there. I was just measurably stronger And this was after two 20-minute workouts. So this was the aha moment for me. This was when I started kind of diving deep into the science. Well, is there a scientific backing? Are the numbers there? Is the research solid? And everything checked out. So this was the kind of the light bulb moment for me where I said, well, this is something that's just exceptionally effective. It's something that pretty much nobody knows about, especially in the United States. Europe and Latin America are a whole different story, and it's a matter of regulation. But they're maybe 5 or 10 years ahead of us. But in the US, nobody knows about this. It's, the best kept secret of elite athletes. What I discovered is that, the world of elite athletes are pretty much, it's a given. You're using it. It's just that you're not really talking about it because of the edge that it gives you. So essentially, I stumbled on something that looked like a technology that was just hidden away or inaccessible to most people. So the mission at that point became, how do we democratize the technology? How do we put this in people's homes? This technology is way too good to be kept in kind of these boutique gyms that 99.9% of us just don't have access to, and it really needs to be shared with the world.
You mentioned a cotton undergarment. Have you advanced was the technology also a little archaic, like a little challenging or whatever, or are you pretty much at the same spot as that? Or like to describe, maybe it is hey, I just want to commercialize this amazing technology, or you kind of furthered it?
Oh, the technology went a long way and is still making strides today. So, in fact, the first versions of the suits were, these bulky contraptions where you're literally tethered with wires. So the suit has wires coming out of them, going into a floor standing machine, which generated the impulses. So it was, it was effective, it worked, but it was just not something that was practical for most people. Not to mention that the first kind of, I wouldn't even call them prototypes, but the first versions of the EMS suits cost something along the lines of $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 easy.
Wow, yeah.
And you had to go to a specialized facility under the supervision of trainers and technicians and so on. So what we did is we miniaturized the technology. We made it wireless. So the impulse generator is a little tiny box, a power box that sits in a pocket in the belt, and it's connected via Bluetooth to an app on your phone. So the app on your phone is really what controls. It's kind of the remote control, if you will. And it's also the device that allows it kind of, this is, something else we improved upon the existing technology is we created content by way of instructor-led videos because, you buy the suit, so you put it on. So what do I do, right? So to help people along, we created instructor-led videos, Peloton style, which you can put up on your TV. You can stream them on the TV, and they're synchronized with the impulses of the suit. So when our trainers are walking you through a certain movement, there's a corresponding impulse on the back of the movement that complements it all. So it's kind of a complete process and a physiological stimulus that's presented in a way that's consumer friendly and easy to use, which was really important for us to do, just given the somewhat technical nature of EMS.
I have this picture of you're puppeteering these people because you're contracting their muscles, and so they're actually dancing according to what's on the screen, almost in a passive way. I don't think that's exactly what's going on. I did get my hands on a suit. I don't remember which one. It wasn't yours. And I agree with you. The depth of soreness was very different. And I just did like some 10-minute workout, and the depth of soreness. So we talk about muscle recruitment. How much muscle recruitment are we seeing with the SQAI suit?
Yeah, it's unparalleled. It's we know the science, so we can quantify it. And I'll just give you the headline number. It's twice as much stimulation or twice as many muscle fibers being recruited with EMS than anything you can achieve by yourself in the gym. And if you can kind of humor me for a second, I'm just going to go to into a nerdy tangent here a little bit. But
no, let's nerd out. My next questions are like, is this AC or DC current, and how much? So nerd out.
Wonderful, love it. So with conventional training, your brain puts a
By the way, let me pause for 1 second, because I really, you said, simple movements. It was simple movements. What I did was, less than yoga, kind of, right? Like you're just touch your toes over here, maybe do a push up. It was super simple movements. You're not, and there's no weights in your hands. So anyway, I didn't. I wanted to really emphasize that, because you have this mindset that you're picking up big heavy weights, and that's not what's going on when you're in one of these suits.
That's exactly right. You're literally, you're doing something that looks like a bicep curl, and it feels like you're holding a 30-pound dumbbell, and yet there's nothing in your hand. So it's
Yeah.
kind of really interesting, and you have to experience it to believe it. But as far as muscle fiber recruitment, every time you move, be it when you walk or even when you pick up a really heavy weight in the gym, physiologically speaking, your body or your mind is not letting you activate more than 45 to 50% of available muscle fibers. And really the reason is that there's multiple physiological reasons, but it's an energy preservation system. And let's just say that in moments of high stress, fight or death situations, your mind unlocks the other 50%. So, the fable about the mother who lifts a car when the baby's under the car, there's actually something to it, because of these moments of high stress, you get access to the other part of your muscle fiber recruitment. Now, what happens with EMS is that we send the electrical impulse directly into the muscle. We're bypassing the brain. So we're no longer subject to this physiological limitation. So with that, we can activate all the available muscle fibers, so 95 to 100%. And not only are we activating twice as many muscle fibers, but we're doing it across the entire body at the same time, right? Remember, this is a full body suit. So what happens is that you're working out all the muscles at once. Compare that to what happens in the gym, right? In the gym, you go and you do biceps, and then you do triceps, and then you do some squats, and lower body, upper body, back, etc. By the time you're done, you tell me how much time would you say you've spent in the gym by the time you're done with a full body workout?
Oh, I mean, back in the day, really, they say optimal is 45 minutes, right? Like that's when your testosterone has peaked, and that's when you really, now I know people spend a lot more time. I used to before I even knew that stat, but my target if I'm in the gym is 45 minutes.
Okay. And I'm guessing you probably don't necessarily do, a complete full body workout, right? There's always some muscle group that ends up not.
Something gets missed. Yeah, for sure.
So with the suit, 20 minutes gets a full body workout, and because it's all the muscles at the same time at twice the neuromuscular efficiency of conventional training. So a 20-minute session is equivalent to a 2-hour conventional training, workout. So that's kind of the math of EMS, and it's very, very favorable.
Well, and as you described, it's the kind of workout when you go back to your traditional workout, two EMS workouts later, and you pick up the bars, and you're like, oh, I put the wrong weight on here. No, you're actually just stronger. Right?
You're
like that's what you described to yourself. Talk about the difference between maybe somebody who is interested in bulking up, right? Because you can bulk up and you can strengthen, and you can do both. They're usually intertwined to some degree. Is this a great strategy for strength only, for bulking? And are there different settings if you're shooting for different kind of targets?
Yeah, there are different settings, and we can, maybe I'll talk about that after, but in terms of bulking and getting strength gains, right? So there's essentially two ways you can get stronger. One is to gain size, which is what bodybuilders do, right? So they do, multiple sets and multiple reps, and they create the kind of muscle stress that causes the fibers to increase, and even for new muscle fibers to emerge. Yep. The second way of getting stronger is neuromuscular efficiency. How can we get the existing fibers at their current number and thickness to just output more strength? EMS functions mostly on the latter, which is to say that you get measurably stronger. You get absolutely more toned. You get jacked, but you don't get super big. To get big, again, you need to spend that time and do these, many reps in the gym, and kind of, so a little bit of a balanced workout, mostly on the strength and conditioning side. Now, to your other question about, how we can, how to different programs and different ways to use EMS. So, it's interesting because depending on the frequency of the impulse, and with EMS, because it's an it's an electronic device, you can be extremely precise in how you modulate the electrical impulse. So depending on the frequency of the impulse, that is how many times a second am I sending a signal into the muscles, and how long each of these impulses is. And kind of these range from, 5 hertz or times a second to 100 hertz in terms of the frequency. And each impulse is, something along the lines of 200 microseconds. These are millionths of a second, to 450 or 500 microseconds. So depending on the combination and permutation of the frequency and the impulse length, we can be very surgical and literally pick and choose which muscle fibers do we want to engage. Fast twitch, slow twitch, or a little bit of both. And I'm sure you know, and probably your audience knows as well, kind of the slow twitch muscle fibers are those responsible for endurance, right? If you want to go for a 2-hour walk, you're mostly going to tap into the slow twitch muscle fibers. Fast twitch is responsible for explosiveness and speed. So these, and coincidentally, as we age, the fast twitch is the stuff we start to lose first. That's why you get a lot of like really, aging people who have the endurance. They can walk for hours, but they can no longer sprint. They can no longer, do these explosive movements. And you're going to say, well, fine, how many 65-year-olds need to sprint or lift a 100-pound, barbell? And I'll give you that. But think about...
No, I would say all of them. Right. Like, because as you're describing this, it reminds me of an article that I found in Men's Health a long time ago. And the article says, what the title of the magazine was, "Your metabolism slows as you age." And it irked me. I was pissed off actually by reading this title. And so I bought it, right? Maybe it was clickbait. I don't know. Actually, it was clickbait, because you go in and you read it and it's like, no. When you slow down, your metabolism slows down. You happen to slow down as you age, typically. Like, that's how our society was kind of wired. And then anybody at any state in their study, in any study ever, if they've started to move more, the metabolism goes back up. And so I think, it's not that older people can't sprint, it's that older people don't sprint, right? And you don't wake up one day having not sprinted in 3 years and go for a sprint. Like, that's not a smart strategy. But anyway, I'm sure you probably believe on that side, and you're just being driven by that kind of data.
You just made the case for me. I was sort of kind of leading you there as far as, when I had this conversation with my mom, she was like, "I don't need to sprint. I'm perfectly fine. Thank you very much." And I'm like, essentially, okay, but what happens when it's snowy outside and you slip and you don't have the explosive power to react and stabilize yourself, and kind of, and you fall and you break a hip, and then, 65% of people over 65 that, that break a hip, they just never recover or never fully recover. So you're 100% spot on. This is essential as we age. And with EMS, you can literally push a button and you said, well, I can train fast twitch today. I can, I have a marathon coming up, so let me focus a little bit more on slow twitch. Or there's a little bit of a balance. So we have cardio, strength, and power. Strength is kind of a balanced workout which activates both fast twitch and slow twitch, and power is mostly on the kind of the fast twitch side. So lots of flexibility depending on how you modulate the electrical impulse.
So are we talking about AC or DC? Like, what is the current? I'm going to get a little bit a bit geeky, and then you talked a little bit about frequencies and then times. Let's start with AC DC, and what does that look like, and why you might choose one over the other.
Yeah, so it's a bipolar waveform. So yeah, the direction does alternate, which means that it's an alternating current.
Mm.
And really, that's something that's been determined early on in EMS. Uh, the feeling is different than DC. It's just more comfortable and more effective. So, but
Mm.
really the key here is the frequency and how many, what's the number of times a second that I send the signal into the muscle, and how long each of these impulses lasts. So the combination and permutation, you can achieve just different things depending on the objectives, fitness goals, let's just say.
So an AC, right, is electrons flowing one way and then the other repeatedly, right? Like that's alternating current. Do you get a muscle contraction ostensibly each time it changes directions, or does it hold through the direction, throughout the sustained pulse, even though the electrons are flowing different directions, in the AC framework?
So what happens is, again, I'm going to go to the frequency, and let's just isolate the frequency. So
Yeah.
depending on, the reason we have access to mostly the slow twitch muscle fibers in a cardio settings, that is the low frequency mode,
Yep.
is because
So like the 5 hertz. You're talking about like around the 5
5 to
hertz.
20, let's just call it 5 to 35 or so. 5
Okay.
to 30, is because the impulses are wide enough, or wider apart from each other, that they look like a sine wave. So essentially, they have, the muscle contracts, and that it has enough time to relax. Then it contracts again, and then it relaxes. And in that case, the muscle, or the body, being this wonderful organ that first and foremost wants to minimize the amount of work and preserve energy. So that's kind of what we're bio-optimized to do: preserve energy.
Yep.
And kind of do everything with the minimal amount of effort. It says I don't need to stay contracted. I can kind of just I can do the bare minimum, which is the fibers that are the most easily accessible muscle fibers, which are the slow twitch. They cost the least, metabolically speaking. They don't consume as much ATP and glycogen. They're just there always, ready to go. So with the slow twitch muscle fibers, we sort of have this sine wave. Now, all the way to the other extreme with a high frequency, say 75 and above hertz, and the impulses are even longer, right? No longer 200 microseconds, but 450 microseconds, and they're so much closer together in terms of timing. So what happens there is the muscle no longer has time to relax, right? So it's a step function. It goes up, and then it tenses up. But then the next impulse comes before the muscle has had a chance to relax. So it has to tense up even more and more and more. And by the time you're in contraction for 3 or 4 seconds, the body has no other chance but to call in the reserves, to call in the cavalry, which is the fast twitch muscle fibers. Which, by the way, if you wanted to train the fast twitch muscle fibers in the gym, this is pretty much how you get injured, because they require the highest weights, the most aggressive jumping, the sprinting. And with EMS, we have a way to literally call them to the scene with a simple push of a button in a way that's joint friendly, low impact, and minimizes wear and tear, because you're not lifting weights, you're not doing these sudden movements, these crazy jumps. Really, this is where the technology shines when it comes to the ability to, you start with AC current, and then you modulate it to accomplish a certain fitness goal.
Are you familiar with Newbie or the New Fit kind of therapeutic technology, which is a DC current? And I think they run it. One problem with DC, if you just keep running DC, you'll end up actually burning skin, and it's painful. And apparently it came out of Russia, and they were like, screw it, do it anyway, back in the day. So this company, New Fit, they'll use it as a therapeutic technology to really kind of rewire the neuromuscular system, because you're using the same language, right? Your body speaks in DC. Have you played around with straight DC? Have you thought about that? Is that something that's on your radar?
So I know what you're saying because it was actually, believe it or not, it was the Russians who in the 1970s who were one of the first people to actually experiment with EMS is outside of the realm of the physiotherapy kind of tool. They used it for strength and conditioning. And at the time, they did use DC. It sort of blows my mind a little bit that they still do that because it was clear that, it was effective, but it did cause these burns. It was just kind of not very comfortable in the body.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've heard about newbie. I don't know much about them,
Yeah.
but it was actually interesting. It was the Russian Olympic team in the 1976 Montreal Olympics who swept the board in terms of medals, and people just like, whoa, where did these people come from? And later on, it turned out that kind of EMS was their secret weapon because
Wow.
at the time just nobody was using it. They were the first ones to start using it, and then kind of the secret was out of the bag, at least in the elite athlete circles. So that's kind of how it started. So that's interesting.
So you're taking the elite Russian gymnast secret weapon and you're democratizing it. How do we get it into the hands of as many people as possible? That's kind of your goal.
Well, there was a lot of product development and innovation in the meantime, but that's the overall direction. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Apparently, they were just crazy, and they're like, "I'm going to do whatever I can to build strength, even if it hurts and almost burns my flesh."
You know
Well,
what? So let me just kind of jump in there because that reminds me, because you mentioned the Bruce Lee movie. If you look at Rocky 2 or Rocky 3, when he was prepping for the match against the Russian, and I kind of the name escapes me. But the Russian boxer who was kind of training with all these high-tech kind of, devices, he had these sticky pads on him. So,
ah.
speaking of Russian steam, I guess that's just something that comes to mind.
Yeah, interesting. Because probably when I saw that, oh, they were just monitoring his heart or something. No, he was probably doing some sort of stim, muscular stim. That's very cool. So a lot of people may be familiar with like a TENS unit. Maybe they visited a physiotherapist. They've gotten some TENS treatment. TENS stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. And I think I mentioned to you before we got started, I bought one because I wanted to kind of play around. I've done newbie technology, and I've been very happy with its results on some calf problems that I was having. So I'm like, hey, maybe I can get some sort of TENS unit and it can have some similar effect. So far, it hasn't. But I ended up with a device that also has an EMS on it. What's the difference between like a TENS and an EMS that you guys have in your suit?
Sure.
And also, could you do TENS through your suit? Like maybe somebody wanted a full body TENS treatment. Is that even something that you could do? Maybe not programmed yet, but could do.
Theoretically, yes. Sort of, it's. I'll kind of go on a tangent here. We do see a fair bit of pain management that our customers are just telling us, hey, not only am I stronger, which is something that I expected or I was hoping for, that's why I bought your product, but as a side effect to that, a very welcome side effect, all these phantom pains and aches are reduced or just gone. So we're FDA cleared as a class 2 medical device for fitness. We don't have the clearance as, we're just not a pain management device, but the basic technology is similar. Now, TENS is, what they call the electronic Advil, or which one was the bad one? Tylenol. So, okay, not Tylenol, Advil. We'll go with Advil.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it acts on the sensory neurons. So TENS is not as deep as EMS, and it really blocks the pain signal from leaving your the affected area, going into your spine through your central nervous system and into your brain. So essentially, we send electrical impulses to the sensory units, and we sort of flood the zone with signals, so the pain signals kind of get lost and no longer go into the brain. So that's why we get this analgesic effect for a period of up to 24 hours. I don't know kind of what your experience has been or how long it lasts. But EMS, on the other hand, is a little bit different. So EMS induces these deep comprehensive muscle contractions. So EMS is really a strength and conditioning tool. It's a fitness tool versus an electronic pill. Let's just say that.
Does the TENS just work so you tend to target between, if you're looking for slow twitch, 5 to 35 hertz, if you're looking for fast twitch, 75 to 100 hertz, is TENS unit just working at a different frequency? What would be the difference that's going on?
I believe TENS is much higher in frequency, and it's not as deep. So it's it's an easier sort of I won't say easier, but it's a more superficial, higher frequency impulse versus the deep muscle stimulation that you get with EMS.
I would have to imagine with your suit that some of the concepts behind Newbie are reprogramming the neuromuscular system, and you probably end up doing that, right? Like right now I have a little bit of tennis elbow. I could probably throw on your suit. One, anytime you're strengthening your muscles, everything is going to be better. Like that's like your physiology, your biology, how you handle insulin, like everything is better when you have better muscles. And also the concept is your body is protecting you, right? These pain sources are your physiology, right? We're personifying it here, but your physiology is like, I've got to protect this knee, and so I'm eliciting some pain response so that I don't fire off these muscles, because some time ago that was bad, and maybe that's not bad anymore, but I haven't kind of reprogrammed it. And the Newbie, or the New Fit, so the company is New Fit, the Newbie is the device, is allowing you to kind of reprogram that neuromuscular system. It would surprise me greatly if your suit also doesn't have that capability as people are going through these movements. I think that makes a lot of sense.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there, as far as how we achieve these incredible pain management results, which is, you have an achy knee. Let's just say you have an achy knee, and then you strengthen the muscles around the kneecap. So the cartilage no longer has to grind so hard because it has the protective box of the muscle that's keeping everything in place. So you're spot on. Like by strengthening the body, that's increasing muscle mass and strength. That's half the battle.
You can't work out the knee because the knee is in pain, but what you need to support the knee is the muscles that you need to get from the working out. And so now I throw on the SQAI suit, I get the workout, I get the muscular advances in muscular strength to actually support the knee, and now the pain is gone. That makes perfect sense.
Hey, super quick break from the podcast. Hopefully you're loving it. This is a way you can support the podcast and take advantage of a great offer. We're offering 50% off of one of our MCT bottles. MCT is an amazing oil. Add the ESS60 molecule to it. It's even more amazing. All you got to do is leave a review on iTunes, send us a notification that you've left that review. We'll get you a coupon code that'll get you 50% off of our MCT oil and free shipping. Back to the podcast.
So voltage on your suit, right? So you've got how many pads are they? How many muscles are we kind of getting to fire as we're going through a workout?
Yeah, so the suit, it's a full body suit. So it has the electrodes on the inside are mapped against each of your major muscle groups. So starting with the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, lower back, middle back, upper back. You have the biceps, the triceps. So the abs in your chest. So really, it's all major muscle groups that are getting worked out at the same time. In terms of voltage, we're talking really low numbers here, right? The voltage, in fact, is so, and kind of, people hear electricity and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to get electrocuted. But in reality, the voltage is so low that if I had, if you put your hand on one of these pads, you would feel nothing. It's so low that, in fact, to activate the pads, we need to put some water on them to just make them a little moist, because water is a conductor, and only then will you be able to feel the impulses. Otherwise, it's, so the total output of the device, of the power box, is 90 volts, but that's essentially split up across 10 channels. So it's, it's 9 volts per channel. So 9 volts, if for anybody who picked up a 9 volt battery, they know that Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Uh,
They stuck it on
the
their
only
tongue. Yeah,
way
as
that
a kid.
exactly. So if you were to touch it with your just bare hands without any moisture, you would just feel nothing.
Okay.
So it's a very safe and yeah.
So you need a loop, right? So you got this so you got these pads right on your quads. Is the voltage going back to a return point, right? So triggering the muscles, and then there's, you said that there's a device on the belt, right? Is there like a return electrode?
So there's no single return path, but each electrode pair forms its own circuit. So the pairs are left and right. So your chest has a left chest and a right chest. Your abs has a left ab and right ab. So that's one circuit, and the voltage stays there. And that actually allows us to do a lot of really cool things. That allows us to choose which muscle groups you want to activate and how much. So you can adjust every muscle group individually or all of them at once if you wanted to. But for someone who, for some reason, you said, well, I just want to do chest today, you can leave everything else off or at a very low intensity, and you can crank up the chest because the circuits are, by muscle group, essentially.
So I have to assume, right? I'm super geeky scientist that you're anonymously collecting data and kind of reviewing what people are doing with the suits, right? Like this would be something I'm doing. Have you noticed any odd behavior? Like lots of people are going for Brazilian butt workouts and you're, like trying to build up the glutes. Is there any kind of pattern that you maybe surprised you? Like, because I'm sure you put the suit out and you're like, people are going to use, like you did, the full body workout every single time. Have you noticed kind of nuances, and do you even have access to that kind of anonymized data?
So we don't really collect data from the app, and that's something that can be easily verified if you just download the app and you kind of look at the app store. However, we also operate an EMS studio here in Miami, and that's the studio that I first experienced EMS at, and then now we're just affiliated with them, and we see literally hundreds of people, and thousands of people a year. So, and these are kind of recurring, people that come, come in for multiple sessions. So we talk to them and we know. And kind of, it's interesting. Especially for women, one of the first things that women kind of see as a result is a reduction in cellulite and something they call an EMS butt, which is kind of the really tighter and nicer kind of shape of, of things that might have been a little loose before.
Interesting.
But we do see people, we see their transformation. We get emails from our customers. We just, wow, thank you. You changed my life. And many of these reviews on our Trustpilot page. We heard from someone who is an Iraq war veteran and has had, I want to say 11 or 12 different surgeries. And he said, for the first time in over, a decade and a half, I'm able to feel like myself again because he's regained functionality, he's regained function, and flexibility and the ability to really, do physical activity, which he truly missed. So we see these stories day in and day out. And it's really why we chose to do what we do.
So you're talking about restoring physical activity. There is a part of me that thinks, hey, can I just put this suit on and then like lay there and get a workout? Like what is because you have programs, right? And you are synchronizing stuff with the programs, which is brilliant. What can I just lay there? And what's the advantage of actually having movement if there is any?
Sure. So technically, yes, you can lie there. And that's, you just described the use case of physiotherapy. Because in the physiotherapist's office, in the very beginning, you pretty much are, just lay there and you get the twitches and the benefit of EMS. Now, if you're someone who's really deconditioned, you probably can get, like people who need, rehab, you'll get some benefit for sure. But to really unlock the power of EMS, you want to combine, organic effort or organic movement and stack it to the impulses and the extra muscle activation that you get from EMS. This is where the system really excels because you just get so much more muscle activation than anything that you can achieve by yourself in the gym. And I don't care how heavy you lift, I don't care how fast you run or how high you jump. EMS is just science. It activates twice as many muscle fibers and it just acts more deeply and more comprehensively.
I can concur with that, right? So there's a bodybuilder, good friend of mine, Chris Gethin, and he has a process where he's looking at doing 3 sets of 50 of each weight, right? And this is a bodybuilder's, basically he was a bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder. He felt he had maxed out his size, so he retired from bodybuilding and changed his strategy. And one piece of his strategy was like, well, how do I make sure I don't get hurt? And you do that by not lifting heavy weights, right? And so now he's doing 3 sets of 50 instead of, 3 sets of 10, to max failure. And he ended up getting bigger, right? So by doing more sets, you're getting there. So I've done, like, when I sometimes, every, couple times a month, I'll do a more intense workout like that with 15 pounds, right? So I'm just doing 15-pound curls, which is very light. But you do 50 of them, and that makes me sore. But the soreness from the suit is so different. It is so much deeper, so much broad. And so you're thinking about the muscle, you've got to be getting significantly more muscle recruitment. That's why he ended up getting bigger as a bodybuilder by doing 3 sets of 50. And still, the suit is so much more thorough in terms of muscle fiber recruitment. It's really, I'm actually all about it. It's pretty amazing.
I think you're right, and I bet that if he was to use an EMS suit, he would get incrementally stronger, measurably stronger. So right now he mostly gained size, but on the functional side of the equation, there's just more gains to be had.
Yeah. I think it's pretty. Is there any reason that we might do, wear an EMS suit and go for a jog, or wear an EMS suit and do our traditional whatever hit routine, or should we stick with kind of the programs that you have and why?
Yeah, good question. So you can and actually I myself use the suit in this way. I put the suit on cardio mode, which is relatively gentle, and I go outside for a walk. I don't even have to run. And I look at my Apple Watch, and my heart rate is 150, 160 beats per minute, which is crazy. I'm just walking. So I'm getting the cardiovascular benefit of a run without beating up my joints. I'm just walking. And you do look a little bit like RoboCop because people like looking, and the suit, as is pretty body conforming and kind of sleek, but it is something. It's not your regular street clothes. Or people are like, what is he doing? Yeah, I'm running. Well, you're not running. Yeah, I am. I'm just running by walking. Very cool.
By the way, I'm actually sprinting. That's why I'm out of breath, even though I'm not moving very fast. And it is body conforming enough. You could throw a T-shirt over it, right? You could do that, but then you're not marketing the Sky suit. So that would be a. Go ahead.
That's okay. I think that's sort of like our best marketing so far has been people that own the suit are really telling their friends and family, hey, you gotta buy this.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, Chris, as far as so this is cardio mode, just walking outside with it. Yes, you in addition to the instructor-led classes, there are 14 different manual modes, or this is kind of our freestyle mode, where you can just follow your own routine. You can lift a few weights, you can get on the elliptical if you wish. But the thing is, you don't really need to push yourself to use really heavy weights, because a 2-pound dumbbell is going to feel like a 30-pound dumbbell. So, putting, whether you go out for a walk with the suit or just jump on the elliptical, it's a killer workout because you're still stacking regular movement, conventional, just organic effort with these EMS impulses. As long as you move, as long as you have range of motion, and kind of there's reasons why we need range of motion with EMS, because you don't really want to train your muscle in just one position because
Yeah.
you get a little bit of a disbalance, right? So as long as you give me range of motion in some organic effort, you're golden.
I think it's reasonable to describe the workout as gentle stretching with the suit, right? So then you're getting the range of motion and your workouts are more complex. But that's just kind of how I saw the routine. And again, it was a 10-minute routine and I was sore for like 2 or 3 days and a deep soreness that honestly I've never felt before. So I mean, these are really amazing devices. How do you see EMS training kind of intertwining with as we think about longevity, right? There's a longevity podcast. How do you see EMS contributing or impacting longevity?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just so much overlap here, and it's so much to say. Like, when you start from sarcopenia, right? As we age, we start losing muscle. And as we mentioned, the first muscle fibers that we lose are the fast twitch muscle fibers, which are exceptionally important for our longevity. You don't like risk of falling, right? So being able to preserve muscle mass is just critical for a function. Like, do you want to be able to put your carry-on in the overhead compartment, or do you want to be able to walk a flight of stairs or carry your groceries home? Or so functional, the kind of functional health, key. But on top of that, metabolic health. And we're fortunate enough to live in a time where kind of there's more and more focus on the importance of muscle for metabolic health. Like it's a glucose sink, right? This is where glucose goes to die. Like if you eat a cookie after dinner, if you have muscle, that's okay. I'm not telling, hey, go ahead and eat a pound of
Yeah.
but it's just so important for glucose regulation. Bone density, and especially kind of women tend to be even more susceptible to bone density loss after a certain age. EMS and kind of many of our customers have asked us, well, okay, fine, I get it works on the muscle, but how does it affect the bones? And the answer is, well, it puts mechanical stress on the muscles, which pull on the bones. And by the way, because it functions on two opposing muscles, right? It's both your biceps and your triceps. So the mechanical stress that gets applied on your bones is from both sides. So this increases bone density. And on our website, by the way, we have plenty of scientific research, and we only link to articles from PubMed, which is the most authoritative source for medical information, which outline the benefits. Like this, just like we sit literally on 5 decades of science that attest to the effectiveness of EMS. Now we spoke about pain management and right chronic pain management. Again, a longevity pillar, right? It's something that I can sell you a dream, or I can just sell you something that would help you feel better. And which one would you be more easier sold on?
Yeah.
And improve mobility and function, right? It's just like all the pillars are there. It's pretty incredible what TMS can do.
I have to imagine in your app you can maybe work different muscle groups a little bit harder. Maybe you can work, and maybe you can't, but the right a little bit more than the left. Like I would actually focus a little bit more on my left bicep. It's a little weaker than my right. Is that true? Like, do you have 0 to 10 settings in each kind of muscle group?
Oh, there's 0 to 100 settings, and kind of I think you're talking about the intensity level, right? So this is how much power are we sending to each muscle to each muscle. That's definitely
I guess
something.
it's balanced, right? Because you said that like the negative and positive electrode is on the right and then the left arm. So really, there's no way to make the left arm more have a more intense workout. Is that correct?
So it's funny you should say that, because we are in fact doing an update to the app, which would allow you to send different kind. Right now, it's all symmetrical. Like it's the same amount of power left and right. It's just that you can adjust each muscle group individually. Going forward, we will have the ability to regulate the arms, just because it's interesting. You're not the first one to kind of mention the kind of the lack of balance sometimes.
Yeah, we all have imbalances. Yeah,
and EMS is very effective this way, because you can no longer cheat, right? In the gym, my left arm is, so I'm just gonna, with EMS, you're sending the power. The muscle has to react. So Having said that, that's something that we will have in the future.
And then the geek in me is like, are you just going to run electricity to a different electrode to weaken it, or like, because if you're literally using the right bicep as a positive electrode, the left bicep as a negative electrode, how do you make the left bicep actually work more?
So the circuit that we talked about will be closed by way of the bicep electrode and the tricep electrode. So that's the design.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. And you say you have 0 to 100. I have had conversations with even like the newbie guys. They're like, no one gets to 100. Like, where do people tend to operate in yours? And have you ever pushed to 100 just because you feel like you're the founder and you have to?
Fair question. So most people, if you're a newbie or if you're kind of, a beginner, you're probably in the 20 to 30% tops. Now, different muscles have the ability to tolerate different amounts of power, i.e., your larger muscles, your legs and your glutes can take a lot more stimulation than your smaller muscles, your biceps, triceps, your chest. So you're always going to see, uh, more power going into your larger muscles than your smaller muscles. Now, where most people cap or most people max out is, maybe 30 or 40 on the upper body where kind of the smaller muscles are, and 50 or 60 on the lower body. And then if you're above 65, you're pretty much in beast mode. And we've had two people max out the suit in our entire, and we use these suits in our gym as well. So we've literally, between our customer base and our the gym, we've seen thousands of people. Two people have maxed it out, and they sincerely hope, they consider giving their bodies to science for examination once they're gone, because these are freaks of nature and we need to understand what's in there. But 99% of people max out at 60 or 70.
We want to understand the mind of Einstein and these two people.
And these.
Like, that's what we want to understand. All right. So how can people try your suit, right? Because this is absolutely fascinating. You said you have locations. How do they find those locations? Can they order it, and try it out at home? What does that look like? To kind of run us through some of the options that people have.
Sure. So it all starts with our website, sqai.co. So sky.co, sqai.co, where we have a list of, there's a Try Sky page where we have a list of partner studios all around the country, and the list is growing, where people can go in and just do a class. They use our suits and they can take a class, an instructor-led class. So it's not going to be the exact same setup as you using the suit at home, because at home you control it yourself, you have the instructor-led videos, but it's close enough for you to experience the technology. And then we have a little bit of we have a program that makes it easy for people to kind of try it there. Then we cover the cost of the class, and then you can kind of, get the suit. But we also, obviously, we're an e-commerce platform, so you buy the suit from our website. We do offer a 30-day guarantee. It's not really a try at home and kind of return, but we do provide people this kind of safety and kind of feeling of we've got you. If for some reason this is not for you, it's okay. And by the way, the history of the company, we've had one return.
Wow.
So we also
I have to imagine, like, in this conversation, I can attest that everything that we've said is what you will experience if you buy one of these suits, right? So the only reason is because you kind of misrepresented that you wanted to buy one and own one, and that you wanted to try one, in which case go to Try Sky, the webpage, which is Try Sky, and find a studio somewhere near you, and go try it. That's great. Do that. But if you're looking for what has been talked about in this podcast, 100%, that's what they're going to get.
Yeah. And we're not going to challenge anybody about, misrepresentation. That's just not something we do.
Yeah.
We'll offer every return request again. And we're comfortable saying that because it's just not something we have to deal with just because the product speaks for itself and does the job that's
Yeah.
advertised to do. But we also offer 0% financing. We offer, so it ends up being, less than $100 a month. When you finance it, we offer HSA and FSA options that allow you to save 30 to 40% essentially by using, pre-tax money through your employer. And it's really, when you think about what you're getting, the ROI is just unparalleled, right? And it's cheaper than, the cheapest gym membership out there, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, and I think, my first thought and maybe your first thought is that, hey, this is for people who really want to kind of push themselves in terms of working out. But this is also for those people who maybe don't work out as much. And this is a comprehensive solution for, somebody getting into it and really wanting, like, who's woken up, decided that they need to address sarcopenia. And this is a great solution for that. This has been fantastic. Yeah.
I'm really happy you went there, Chris, because this is an important point to make. And kind of looking at our customer base, we see two types of customers, and it's more or less pretty evenly split down the middle. Type 1 is people that are already active. That's you and me. People that are running, biking, doing CrossFit, etc. People that are looking to unlock the next level, and people looking to save time, because it's a 20-minute workout that gets you the benefit of a 90-minute session or a 2-hour gym session that, not every day you have that kind of time. And people looking to, either the busy professional or people just looking to get to the next level. And that's great. That's you and me. But what excites me the most is the second half, which is people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And by the way, our oldest customer is 82 years young. And she's using this. Now, we did give her a little bit of kind of assistance in the gym. And now kind of she's on her own at home doing, using SQAI at home by herself. But these are people that have not seen the inside of a gym in decades. These are people that for some reason self-selected out and said, well, fitness is just not for me. These are people that have just, given up and maybe they picked up injuries along the way, and they're concerned that they will get even more injured, right? So for them, SQAI has been a game changer. And in fact, I was actually, something that was not immediately clear even to us in the beginning is that even when you're 25 or 30, you have a million options to work out, right? So you can go lift weights. You don't maybe necessarily need the EMS suit. However, these things, wear and tear on your body accumulates over time, and it compounds. So by the time you're 40 or 50, even if you don't have any major issues or injuries, you have still picked up some wear and tear, which you could have offset or minimized by adding EMS into your routine when you were younger. So it kind of goes both ways.
Man, that's very good. Okay. All right. Alec, do you have a target age that you want to live to?
I really don't, Chris. I am not, I'm not focused on the target age, but I'll tell you what I am focused on. I am focused on the health span. I'm focused on minimizing, the length of time between my lifespan, the number of years I live, and my health span, which is the number of years I'm healthy and functional. Hopefully, they're one and the same. Yeah. But as long as they're as close together as possible, I'm happy, and that's what matters.
If they were one and the same, right? It's clearly not going to be 80. What number would you toss out if I twisted your arm? If I cranked you up to 100 in your suit, and you said, "Give me an age, or I'll before I turn it down."
Well, let's see. My grandmother lived to 104, and she
you got the genes for it.
So that's the minimum. Let's just call it that.
Okay, I like that. And how long do you think humans can live?
I think with recent developments with AI, with biochemistry, with the ability to generate organs, to edit genes, we can get to a pretty impressive number, pretty high number. Again, the question is, can you be healthy? How long can you stay healthy? And kind of, because if you're just kind of a vegetable at the end, what purpose does this serve, right? So really, it's about the health span rather than the lifespan.
And so what, like, how long do you think humans can live? And it may be for me, it's a two-part answer, but like, how long do you think humans can live?
Well, we have people that have lived until 124. I think that's the all-time max.
I think 122 is Jean Clement is at 122.
Okay, I was in the ballpark. We can probably, in our lifetimes, we can probably see people that go to 140.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. And what are 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts, because everyone likes shortcuts, to longevity and a long health span that you would share?
Yeah. So I'm not into, I don't know if I have shortcuts. I don't know if shortcuts exist, although the Sky suit is as close as we get to a shortcut.
I think it's a pretty good shortcut.
It probably is as close as it gets, but
so we'll put Sky suit first.
The Sky, and I would bundle that in just the bucket of movement. Move every day, even walking or do mobility work, but movement is your friend. Then, I'm a kind of a simple guy this way, prioritize sleep, and eat healthy. Kind of those are my 3 pillars that I just live by. And I think that's the foundation.
Is there anything you think people get absolutely wrong regarding longevity and a long health span?
Yeah, I think equating aging with decline is kind of, something that people, what leads to decline is disuse. And people start kind of getting, let's just not call them lazy, but stop using their bodies or muscles because they feel, well, I'm too old. No, you're too old because you stopped moving. So that's kind of, and along the same lines, strength training is something that people get wrong. Strength training is dangerous as you get older, but it's really the most protective thing you can do as long as you do it right. Yeah.
Alec, how can people contact you?
Best way would be through our website, SQAI.co. We have a chat, which is not an AI powered chat. Our team responds to every single message. There's support at sky.co. We're pretty responsive. We love hearing from customers and from anyone. So get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Excellent. And what in the near future are you excited about?
So something we're working on, which I think is going to supercharge the Sky suit to the next level, is personalization. When the suit learns who you are, how you move, and what works for you, and starts to proactively adapt to your needs. And maybe you literally say to the app, hey, I have a little bit of a shoulder ache today. Go easy on my left shoulder. And the suit responds to that. So that's something that's, in general, the kind of the adaptability and the personalization is something that I think is coming.
Excellent. All right. You can find information about his suit, including going to the Try Sky page and finding hopefully a studio near you at sky.co. That's SQAI.co. You can also send an email, support@sky.co. Alec, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Live Beyond the Norms podcast. Make sure to subscribe and follow. Also, make sure not to be that guy, the guy sharing this podcast with people who are not interested in living beyond the norms. If you would like to learn more about the ESS60 molecule, the molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, a full 90% extension of life, visit myvitalc.com. That's myvitalc as in carbon.com.